So she's got a good vision and she's got good plans. And now we get to the two things that really matter. How are you going to pick somebody who can turn these plans into reality? You need to pick a proven agent of positive change in other people's lives. So let's just look at the record. When Hillary got elected to the Senate, the Republicans were in the majority. And what did she do? She got improvements in child health. She got care for the 9/11 first responders, the firemen, the police officers, the others that were dealing with that disaster in her state. And she passed a whole spate of bills with Republicans that directly relate to veterans. Several were opposed by the White House. I don't know why, but they were. She and the Republican senator from South Carolina passed a bill to speed up the provision of body armor to our troops. Then they passed a bill that said if somebody in the National Guard or Reserve gets hurt overseas, when they come home, they get the same health care regular military personnel do. Then they passed a bill that said, in this campaign they passed a bill, that said that if you go overseas for your country and you suffer mental or physical trauma, when you come home, your family is covered by the Family and Medical Leave Law, so your loved ones can take some time off to take care of you without losing their jobs. And she just passed a bill with the Republican senator from Alabama. It should never have had to be passed. A couple years ago, the Pentagon was trying hard to recruit new soldiers. And they offered them a big signing bonus if they'd sign up for a 4-year tour. I think it was 4 years, not 3. So, predictably enough, a lot of those who signed up were sent to Iraq and Afghanistan, and some were wounded. The Pentagon was trying to get the signing bonus back from the people whose wounds were so severe they couldn't finish their tour of duty. But she got a bipartisan bill through the Senate to stop them, to make it illegal for them to try to take their signing bonus back. Now, what is the relevance of this record of change? If you want health care reform and you want a real aggressive energy policy, we cannot get either one without some Republican votes in the Senate. Only 41 senators can shut down everything in the Senate but a budget. You got to have somebody who's proved they can make changes in your life with members of the other party. Then, when she was in the White House, look what she did. It's true we tried to get health care and failed, and you hear that a lot, especially from other camps, that she tried and failed. Well, this is very important in picking a president, because any president you pick will have some failure. That's part of living. Unless you lock the next president in a closet so he or she can't do anything, there'll be some days where not everything goes right. So one big test of a president is, how does the president handle failure? Look what she did. And Governor Vilsack mentioned it. After we got beat on health care reform, she got herself up off the floor, dusted herself off, went back to work. You got the Children's Health Insurance Program, what you call the Hawkeye program here in Iowa, added 6 million children to the ranks of those with insurance. This is the biggest expansion of health care since Medicare. That's a pretty good way to respond to failure, I think. We got 90% of our children immunized against serious diseases for the first time, including more than 200,000 in Iowa. We had big breakthroughs in the screening and testing and treatment for people with breast cancer, cervical cancer, prostate cancer, and diabetes. You ought to talk to the national advocacy heads who worked with her then and ask her how good she was at making changes in other people's lives. She represented you in 83 other countries. And I could keep you here tomorrow morning telling you stories that people still tell me about the difference she made in people's lives in other countries around the world. From helping brave people in Senegal to end generation after generation of abusive female mutilation practices that were designed to keep women in a suppressed condition and keep their daughters from ever going to school and growing up to be equal citizens, to people in India talking about how she got microcredit loans for them so poor people could make money in private business, to the people in China when she said that women's rights were human rights, encouraging people all over the world to close the gap between the boys and the girls and their enrollment in schools in poor countries. Just a couple of weeks ago, the leaders of the new government of Northern Ireland came to Washington to see the president. When they got together in Northern Ireland, it ended the oldest civil conflict in modern European history. They fought from 1969 until 1998 when they voted for peace, and it took them another 9 years to finally stand up to government. They saw the president, and they asked to see one more person, Hillary, so they could thank her for the independent role she played, independent of me and my administration, in promoting the peace in Northern Ireland. That is the kind of thing that she has always done. When I was a governor, I was a young governor, and I wanted so much to do a good job. And shortly after I took office, this big national expert said, you know, a child would be better off in the public schools of any state in the country but Arkansas. They're the worst. We had 200 districts with no advanced math, 175 with no chemistry, 150 with no physics, 130 with no biology, over 100 with no foreign languages. Not a very good preparation for the 21st century. So I said, Hillary, I want you to fix that. I want you to head up a committee to fix that. She said, okay. So she headed this committee. They brought in experts from all over America. They talked to everybody in our state, came up with this great reform plan. She helped work it through the legislature and then see through to its implementation. What in the world does that have to do with your choice for president? I'll tell you what, this. When I ran for president in '92, the same guy that said we'd had the worst schools in America said now the two states in America making the most improvements in their schools in the last couple of years are South Carolina and Arkansas. I put the governor of South Carolina in the job of Secretary of Education, and the lady from Arkansas that did it went to the White House with me. She did all that with no public jobs, changing the future for hundreds of thousands of people. And she's always done that. I mean, the first year out of law school, she was knocking on the doors of poor people's houses in New Bedford, Massachusetts for the Children's Defense Fund to find out how come the kids were dropping out of school. And she learned that most of them were dropping out because they had a mental or physical disability that couldn't be treated in the school. And she and her colleagues filed a report with Congress that became the basis for a law that your Senator Harkin has done so much to champion, the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. It changed the future for millions of American families by saying that every child in this country is entitled to an equal and appropriate public education to develop whatever his or her God-given abilities are, and to overcome whatever disabilities they have to the maximum extent. It changed the future. She has always been doing that. I never met anybody who was better at seeing a problem and figuring out what to do about it. And I have left out a half a dozen things that are as impressive as anything I've said to you. She's just good. She never picked up a problem that wasn't better off when she laid it down. And finally, I think she has the right leadership characteristics to win this election and deal with the pressures of the presidency, including the unanticipated challenges. This is a very great country with massive opportunities and profound challenges. It needs the best leadership it can get. Do I think it would be good if we had the first woman president? You bet I do. I am the grandson of a woman who worked for nearly nothing for decades, and the son of a woman who worked for much less than her male counterparts made, and the proud father of a daughter we have tried to convince could do anything she wanted with her life. So yes, I think it'd be good. But by far the more important thing is that if you caucus for her, and if she's nominated, everything I know about politics convinces me that she'll win and win handily next November, and she will be a magnificent president. Please, please help her. Thank you. God bless you.